And to Pat's right, we have Nick Marks, who spent over 20 years in the tech and education industry. In his early career, he was a software developer at Activision. He's worked and grossed over $1 billion and included hits like Kung Fu Panda, Shrek, and the True Crime franchise. His proudest achievement was being academic director at the Art Institute of LA, and he oversaw their Bachelor's of Science program for both game art and design and game programming. He has personally taught thousands of students how to code and design software. Many of his students have gone on to work on some of the biggest video games in history, like Halo, Grand Theft Auto, League of Legends, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft. Some of the gamers in the room are like, yes, yes, tell me more. Just some of the games that Nick's students have worked on. In January of 2016, Nick founded GameGen. It's a fully inclusive school with one goal: to teach computer science to anyone that wants to learn. Plain and simple. GameGen teaches hundreds of students over 6 locations in the state of California. And Nick spends his time as lead teacher for GameGen, sharing his passion for computer science by helping his students create amazing things. Please welcome Nick Marks.
I've never had anybody actually read that out loud. I'm like, oh wow.
Sounds good. Great, awesome things about yourself. And to Nick's right, we have Jeremy Flaherty. He's a graduate of Canyon High School and is an award-winning game developer and student for GameGen. He recently won a Global GameGen Award, beating out 300 people at USC. And in his spare time, he likes Japanese role-playing games. Please welcome Jeremy Flaherty. Last but certainly not least, we have Lisa Flaherty, Jeremy's mother. She's the mother of 2 adult children. Jeremy was diagnosed with autism when he was 7 years old, and her other child, Jillian, was diagnosed with ADHD at age 18. Lisa has served on the Santa Clarita Autism Asperger Network, or SCAN, board of directors for 2 years and has lived in Santa Clarita for over 20 years. Lisa has also worked for Dynamic Interventions for several years. And Dynamic Interventions, for those of you who don't know about it, provides social skills for individuals on the autism spectrum and is a veteran program of the Regional Center. Please welcome Lisa Flaherty. My bio, I'm Thomas Island. Your question to Nick, your genesis and inspiration for your venture.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'll give a little background so you understand why it all happened. I just love video games. I love them to play them, but I also appreciate them as an art form. I made them professionally for a long time, and then I just fell in love with teaching. It just kind of happened, and I taught at the highest level for a long time, and I would have many students peppered throughout that were on the spectrum. And then this last couple of years, I started GameGen and started teaching adults as well. We also teach kids and teens, but I started teaching adults, and I got a bunch of adults in, and the 2 or 3 of them were on the spectrum, and they were head and shoulders above all the rest of my students, like rock stars. And I think that's when you really get to my motivations. I just love people that love games, and I love talented people. And I met some of the most talented game developers I'd ever met. And they start sharing with me their challenges, their educational journey, what they go through, and it just came to this head where I was like, oh my goodness, there's no really educational pathway for you guys to go forward with this stuff, even though all the challenges that you have in life are huge benefits when it comes to software development. And so we just started working together, and it's just been this labor of love and so much fun, and GameGen has just kind of spiraled in this thing, and now we're going full steam ahead with it. So it's just, the genesis comes from teaching some really special students and understanding that this is something that they can be rock stars in, that they're better than most people, and just wanting to empower them as much as I can. So there you go.
And if you could pass it to Lisa, please. Yeah, yes, give them a round of applause. So for course, Jeremy got involved in Game Gen. How did Jeremy get involved in Game Gen and why?
Well, first of all, we love Nick. Nick has been our, just our
Don't
gift.
do that.
Okay,
You're gonna
well,
make me blush.
When Jeremy's always loved video games. Like he, instead of talking about like before Jesus was born and after, it's like before I got my DS and after I got my DS. That's how he signifies his life. And we had always, when UC Irvine announced that they had a computer science program specifically for gaming, that became like our goal. This is it. This is the perfect thing for him. So throughout the years of, since he was in grade school, we were like, anteaters, yeah, you're gonna be one. And as we made our way through high school, he was not ready to go away to school. What was I thinking? There's no way he's ready to go away to school. So we signed Jeremy up for College of the Canyons, and with the intention of him transferring to UC. They have the transfer guarantee program that you can make sure you get all your general ed done and then transfer to UC, and UC Irvine and that computer science program fell into that category. Now, Jeremy took a semester at COC, and bless his heart, it just wasn't successful. It was just the same challenges that he would have in high school, but like to the nth degree. And as a college student, you can't be the mom who is emailing the professor and trying to get extra time and stuff. So when we found Game Gen, the idea was that he would do this in tandem with COC. And over winter break, when I finally got online to sign Jeremy up, the homepage had changed, and Nick had announced that he had a program specifically for adults on the autism spectrum, and I couldn't believe it. So that is solely what Jeremy is doing now, and I had to put away a lot of the, get a degree, this is the path. But it's a portfolio building program. So I believe he will be able to enter the workforce, even though he's going through a different path than most people will go through to get to where he wants to go.
Nicely put. Please save all questions to the end, please. Maybe write it down too. Now to Jeremy, how did you find out about Game Gen? Did your parents bring it up, or did you find out somewhere else?
Yeah, it was entirely Mom who brought it to my attention. We took a tour of it before they changed it to the autism spectrum specifically, and this was back when I was taking classes at COC, and I was definitely interested. I just wasn't entirely committed, and there's no real reason for that other than that I was still at COC and wasn't ready to take on any more at the same time. But going to Game Gen now that I'm not taking classes at COC has been amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
And one more. Yes, of course. And one more question for you, Jeremy. Now that you're in Game Gen, how did you feel about Game Gen going into it, and then how you felt once you were in it? Once you got started, before you got started, and then when you did get started.
I wasn't entirely sure what to expect from it. I'd heard that it was more portfolio building. I knew the general curriculum that we start with recreating old games like Pong, and then as we progress, we start making newer and more advanced kind of games. But it's like not the type of thing that you really know quite what to expect before you take the classes. And now that I am taking the classes, I love it. It's great. Yeah.
Bravo.
I just have to tell a quick story about that, 'cause before and after. So I've been doing this for a while, and Jeremy came in, and his first day it was like, oh, we've got one here. You know, it's like, you know, he did all this amazing math, and just made his game sing, and it was his first lesson. And I knew that weekend we were competing in the USC Global Game Jam. And I had a bunch of students that I've been teaching for a while, and I'm like, we could use one more. And so I invite Jeremy, and you know, he'd only been a student for like a week, you know, and he goes in there and he destroyed it. He rocked out and we won, and it was a big part of his game design decisions and advice. And so his experience was definitely like, you know, oh, it's your first day, let's throw you into the deep end, you know, going to USC and like competing with all these people. So, and it was a fun one. So there you go. I just wanted to, and he was a champ throughout it all.
And pass it to Lisa.
Okay, there you go.
We go on to our next question here. Has to do with parents. What can parents do at home to prepare their student for future vocational or other educational training? I'll repeat that one more time. What can parents do at home to prepare their student for future vocational or other educational training? And everyone will get a chance to answer this, starting with Lisa.
I think the main thing is to talk about it early and often. You know, it became just a natural thing that, you know, high school isn't the end. You know, there will be more schooling or training afterward. I think that's my biggest tip. As far as getting them ready, I think it's important to see what, you know what lights your kid up. You know what gets them excited, and to try and find some sort of career, school, or vocational path that will allow them to be doing something where they shine all the time. You know, it's like he's a different person when he's emptying a dishwasher than when he's designing a video game. You know, and of course there's those other things that you have to do, but I would say that would be my biggest tip, is just let them know that there will be more, and if they have a part in deciding what that more is, you're going to have a happier human contributing to society.
Nice.
Right.
If you want to answer, Jeremy.
Jeremy, if you want to answer that one,
your
yeah,
parents
of
did
course.
something you didn't like. No wrong answer.
I think I would say, like, being open to change. Like Mom's story about the UC Irvine not working out, and then COC not working out, and then Game Gen being amazing. Like, that was our plan C, and it worked.
I'm happy on plan C.
And I also went to, I had gone to like 3 different elementary schools when I was back in elementary school, and like, it just don't be afraid to just drop it and try something else if it's not working.
Great advice. So say the question one more time.
Certainly. What can parents do at home to prepare their student for future vocational or other educational training?
Okay, so I'll answer this in 2 parts. One as a parent, one as the lead teacher, CEO of Game Gen. I have a 5 and a 6-year-old and 11-year-old, and to that question I go, I don't know. I don't know. But as the CEO of Game Gen, you know, I can honestly say, I mean, one of the things that I see with parents, I saw it today out there, and that's why I'm going to bring it up, is automatically, you know, video games. Mom walks by, oh, video games, you know. And I know in the guy, yeah, look at that, Mom, she's laughing too hard at that joke. Good job, Mom. It wasn't you, though. but then when I told her about it, she's like, oh wow, this is amazing. And so here's my advice. Your kids, they might be in the spectrum, they have disabilities, but they naturally love stuff. And students on the spectrum, they can focus on certain things and love those things. And I think it's your job as a parent to find those things they naturally want to focus on, that they naturally want to spend time, that they naturally just have a passion for and love for. And it's your job to figure out how to get them on the education pathway where they can turn that into a fulfilling, lifelong career for themselves. So for games, it's easy. If that student loves games, there's an education there, and it's not just in games. I just want to say that too. Like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs, both of them before they had Apple and Tesla were coding games at 15, 16, 17. Steve Jobs created Breakout, the Atari game. His first job was at Atari. Most people don't know that. Just because you learn how to code games doesn't mean that that's going to be your where you end up in life. So for all you parents, finding that thing that your kid naturally focus on and love, whether it's film or acting or singing or math or computer science, just nurturing them and just giving them all the subject matter you can, all the YouTube videos you can give, and just feeding them as much information there, and talking to experts. Just call them up, and experts love to talk to you, just letting you know. Like, you come at it like, hey, I'm a parent, I'm struggling, I'm trying to figure out, and we'll give you our best advice. So that's it. That's all I have to say. Very cool. I don't know. I don't think I can be as inspirational as them. So I guess I'll give some real world feedback, and also kind of touching on something Lisa said is, for one, for my industry, the computer science industry, you don't need a degree. You don't need a degree, and that's something that a lot of you guys be like, oh, going through college, and college can be hard and a struggle for people in the spectrum. But with computer science and a lot of these other fields, degrees aren't as important as they once were. Like when we were growing up, I'm 41 now, it's like, gotta have a degree. But now it's about problem solving. It's about, like, what problems have you solved? Let me see evidence of that. And, oh, you can do that? Come on in. And so it's a different world we're living in. And that's just what I want to tell you guys as parents. And I notice that some parents don't do is, you don't keep up with how quickly the world's changing. The world is changing so quickly. You realize that I guess my phone's up there because I'm taking, but we didn't have those like 10 years ago, and now, like, who can't not hold it anymore? Robotics and augmented reality and virtual reality and more websites, it's all just coming. There's so many new jobs and new opportunities out there that actually really, really, really do support the people on the spectrum. So just make yourselves aware of this world. It's really changing quite quickly, and you got to kind of keep up with it. So keeping up with the world and knowing what's available to your kids it's a service to them and you. So there you go.
Nice.
I don't really have much, but going off of one of the things that Nick said, so like with game development being very portfolio based, so like one of the, I think like the big reasons UC wasn't really working out for me was because I was like taking classes and working towards the degree, and it was like I didn't feel like I was doing anything yet. It was just more classes, like the same that it had always been. And then Game Gen is like, you jump right in and you're actually doing what I want to do with my life. And like, I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with this. But,
That was good. Yeah, you did great.
I feel like I have like a ton of things to say now, so I'll try to get through them quickly. I wanted to mention also my daughter, who was diagnosed with ADHD when she was in college, and she's been advocating for herself, and she will come and really research what will help her, and that's been great for her. But she also is out of the box school because she goes to Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, FIDM. So when she goes to school and takes history, it's history of costumes. And when she takes a science class, it's the science of textiles. So everything is really related to what she loves. So Jeremy, having to take an English class at COC that's talking about gender equality, he was just like, oh, dude, or do that, sorry. It just wasn't in the frame of everything he liked. So that was a big deal. So I was thinking about the square peg, round hole thing, and we spend so much time trying to shape that square peg to fit into the round hole, but if you just get a bigger hole, the square will fit. So that is something to just keep looking for a bigger hole. Don't go there, that's, okay. And then lastly, for the parting gift thing, it's like I totally wanted my Oprah moment, like, you get a card, you get a card, you get a card. But instead, I always come back to this essay, the Welcome to Holland essay. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, where you're having a baby and you're planning this trip to Italy. It's like you're reading the guidebooks, you're getting all the information, you know the sites you want to see when you get there, and then you're finally on the plane and the stewardess, I know that's not the right word anymore. Flight attendant, thank you. The flight attendant comes on and says, welcome to Holland. We're going to be landing in Holland. And you might start freaking out that, wait a minute, I don't know anything about Holland. That's not what I was planning. I know all about Italy because that's where I was headed. But there's so many wonderful things in Holland. And so what I did was I made these little business cards that they just say, welcome to Holland. And on the back, it's like a little postcard from the author. Her name's Emily Pearl Kingsley. So it says, but if you spend your life mourning the fact that you didn't get to go to Italy, you'll never be free to enjoy the very special, the very lovely things about Holland. So this is just like a little reminder. So please feel free to.
All right, we can keep the microphone there. We're now going to open the floor to questions from the audience, and we'll start with you, Miss.
Yes.
Jeremy, we've known each other for a long time and you know Joshua, and I'm thinking that because Joshua doesn't receive information from me because I don't know anything, I'm wondering if you would be willing to talk with him about what you do and how you became involved in that. You're okay to say no, it's okay.
Right now?
No.
Yeah.
She'll buy you a burger. She'll take you to lunch.
Thank you.
This hand and then you. Go ahead.
So Jeremy, sometime when did you become aware that you were different? And what did it make you feel?
The question was, when were you?
When did you sense you were different from the other kids? And what did it make you think or feel?
I remember the early school years, like first, second grade, just being horrible because it was overwhelming and I couldn't last a day without having a meltdown, and everyone else was able to handle it and I wasn't, and that's kind of when I knew, but I also remember one of my friends just kind of mostly unprompted saying to me that I have autism, and I didn't know what that was, so I just kind of said okay and moved on. But it stuck out to me, but I didn't really pursue the line of questioning. But I don't know. I was never really concerned with the fact that I was different so much as the fact that things weren't working for me. Like, it was less about me being different from the other kids and more about the school environment not being compatible with me.
How's that for a golden nugget? Anyone else have a question? Yes.
Actually, I had a question here. My question is, how do they translate the job, I mean, from the training that they receive at Game Gen to where would they look for the job? Because I'm reaching out to, like, you know, other people who've done courses through Coursera or Udemy, and ask them, how does this prepare you for
Right.
certain jobs in the field compared to Game Gen or anything similar?
Right. So
Could you repeat the question, because I couldn't hear it?
how do I prepare students to get jobs? I guess if that's going to summarize it.
Like having like Udemy, Coursera,
Right.
compared to Game.
Well, those are all online things, and I don't think you can truly expect that from them. That's just not what they do. Like, online is a different thing. That's why we don't do online classes. So in full disclosure, you know, I mean, you could say I kind of have gotten one person a job from Game Gen. We've been around for 2 years. I've been teaching adults for a year. My history, my track record, I have a pretty good one. When I ran the Art Institute of Los Angeles, and that was, you know, I was in charge of about 400 full-time college students getting Bachelor's of Science in Game Art, Design, Game Programming. And, you know, what you do, you know, is, and with those students, they went on to Blizzard and Activision, and, you know, I have students that work at Google, on the Google VR team. I have students that work at Weta, you know, and are in charge of all their motion capture for, you know, King Kong and all these movies. But, you know, so, you know, the idea is that you're very honest with them. You tell them, hey, this is not good enough, and you have to let's make it better. And you keep going. You keep working on making their projects better. Like Jeremy's been with me now for a bit, and he's, how many games have you made? Like 4 games or 3?
4 or 5?
4 or 5 games, and that's the process. You keep iterating, you keep making better and better stuff, and you keep having them share it. That's the big thing, is you don't let them turtle in. You say, okay, let's make this, and then let's push it out to the world to have it consume and give you feedback for, and you take that feedback, you iterate, and then at the end of the day, you get a portfolio. And if you do it enough and you're honest enough with them, and you also listen to them and find out exactly where they want to go and what they want to do. Like, I had a student, I don't know if nobody knows id Software here. No, Doom, no, okay.
yeah.
You know Doom, yeah. So I had a student that, you know, I would really early asked him, so where do you want to work at? And he's like, he was a Russian guy. I want to work at Doom Software, you know. And he came in the first day saying that to me. And so every question I answered for him was, this is how id would do it. This is how Doom would do it. And he only was in my program for a year and a half. It's a 4-year program. He dropped out and got a job at Software, you know, moved to Austin, Texas. So, you know, with Game Gen, I don't have a track record there yet. But my other thing I do, and, you know, it's all about, you know, not playing with this stuff, is having them build real things that are exactly what the people they want to go work with are actively building.
Okay.
And then when they walk in the door, it's like they've already been working there, you know, and they're just, come on in, you fit right in. So there you go. But yeah, definitely don't, Udemy and those guys, not going to help you.
And that's what we're trying to find out.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm curious because, I mean, I've been to your studio over here just to take
Oh,
a look
cool.
and see what it was. And we're trying to get my son into regional now.
Okay.
The older one. But yeah, it's a concern. And, you know, we had a school counselor at this high school here who kept pushing college. And when my son mentioned coding, she insisted he needed college.
That is not true.
However, that's true because when we went to like Comic-Con 2 years ago, we had a guy he's actually worked on the Assassin's Creed project. He's an art history major. But his peers taught him how to code at work.
Right.
Because they told us, instead of you telling us that guy is not in that time period, how about you go in and change it yourself?
There you go.
They taught him how to code to fix.
Yeah. Now I'm a big advocate for college. Like that's like do it. You know, the more life experiences you can have in anything, the better you're going to be. But definitely in that realm, it's all about what problems have you solved. And a degree, a certificate will not get you through that door. It's about up here. You know.
Let's open the floor to, you had a question?
Sure.
Yeah. I just had, wanted to know more about your school. What would you get somebody into?
School?
GameGen.com. You can go there and check it out. We currently, you can book a tour online. You can submit a candidate form. We have locations in Hawthorne, Playa Vista, Granada Hills, Santa Clarita, Newbury Park, Calabasas. So we're there. We specifically have adults in the spectrum courses in Hawthorne and Granada Hills, and we're going to have one Santa Clarita coming up here. But yeah, just go on the website. We have everything on there. And if you come up here, I've got a fancy brochure for you.
Oh,
Okay.
great. Thank you.
All right.
Over here.
All your help. And that's it, everybody.